Okay, it's ready. Okay. So next speaker is Mr. Harbhajan Singh, and he is director on the board of Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India, and he is in charge of the various government and semi-government bodies. And please start your presentation, including your self-introduction.
Yeah, it's fine. I look after general and corporate affairs, and I am associated with Honda for last around 14 years. Prior to that, I was with the steel industry, Tata Steel, where I had worked for 30 years. And for last 14 years, I'm looking after the general and corporate affairs activities in HMSI, which is 100% subsidiary of Honda Motors Japan. So first of all, I would like to say that in Indian context, first thing that we need to understand is that we are 130 billion people. And if you see the geographical connect, we have 700 districts, that is our governing pattern, that each district collector is sort of the administrator of the district. And within these 700 districts, we have 650,000 villages. So what we are now trying to do is that from HMSI, the question that was asked, that we have around close to 6,000 touch points, sale touch points. That is our dealerships, our regional offices, our zonal offices, and our service centers. So we are, kick-starting one project by the name of Connect India. What we are doing is, with the help of the government, we are creating a dashboard where there will be the authority's name who can be connected for a particular district. There will be the name and the contact details along with the email IDs of each village chief who are designated as Sarpanch, and we will connect them to our connect points, and through them we will move our CSR activities now. Till now, we had been operating as an individual company, which was doing the CSR. But now, very shortly, with effect from 1st of April, we will be having a Honda CSR Foundation India, in which all the Indian companies, whether they are car company or motorcycle manufacturers or power products, everybody will pool their share. And the advantage will be that the money will become big. And the timing, as per current law, we get only 1 year's time to spend the entire money which is at our disposal. But once we form a foundation, we will have a 5 years time to spend the collective money, through which we can take very big projects and make a very big difference to the society. Our proposal will be basically to provide mobility solutions for healthy society. This will be one of our focus areas. What we do now also, we provide mobility solutions for war affected people or those who lose their limbs. So what we do is that we put the attachments. We put the attachments, and then we provide these vehicles to those war veterans who can become again mobile. We also had provided, we also try to help the people with physical disabilities. If you see this lady also, now she is almost a brand ambassador for us. She went in Paralympics and got the silver medal for India. And now she has started working for people with physical disabilities. And she carries a vehicle now where we have put attachments. Okay. We have again made her mobile by providing her a vehicle with attachments, and she is going and to talking to people and trying to make difference in their lives. For visually impaired people, we provide a DAISY player, that is Digital Accessible Information System. This is a technical standard for digital audiobooks, periodical and computerized texts, and this enables the visually impaired people to get connected with internet. And they can use this technology and connect with people like normal people are using internet. They also become eligible to make use of the internet facility. These are some of the things like which have been explained earlier also: bike ambulances, empowering life-saving skills, lecture series with senior Indian medical professionals. We keep on inviting medical professionals who come and talk to our people on health issues. So we want to take them to rural areas and connect them with the people working in health centers, whether they are district health centers or they are local health centers. We are already through with this technical intern training program. We are in the process of selection. We have collaborated with one organization called LaborNet. They are recruiting, they are screening now individuals, and they will be training them on language skills, and mostly these boys and girls will be engineers who will be working here for a period of 2 to 3 years to gain more technical knowledge, and then they may be back anywhere. Here they will be more or less working as an apprentices. So means strategy is that basically we have to collaborate. We have to collaborate. We don't have all the competence to deliver these type of services. So we always collaborate with other organizations, and that is the way forward and helps us. Walking assistive devices, all these are our products, and training and all education we keep on doing continuously. This is a special project now which we are embarking upon. See, we had been training people on things like apparel making, beautician courses for females and all. But now we want to do something which is very big. We will be picking 20 females, and we will be training them as commercial pilots under CSR project. Now these girls, once trained, they will get a commercial pilot license, and then they will be, because the aviation industry is coming up very fast in India, they will be put as a commercial pilots by various flyers who are already operating in Indian scenario. So if you see the starting salary of even a co-pilot is something like 2.5 million rupees. So this project will be a game changer for the entire family and for that generation to which they belong, because it will be a very highly priced job which they will be getting after completion of this training. So this is basically focusing on women empowerment, but it will also create a skills which are required by the industry and help them for a socially coming up in society also. So under the Skill India program, it is we are in one of the youngest countries with 65% of the youth in the age group between 20 to 25. And we want to reap the demographic advantage. The government of India has launched on war footing the Skill India mission. The National Skill Mission is chaired by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and Skill India has been the boon for Indians. It has made millennials job ready, productive and efficient, thereby accelerating the country's growth. To increase the pace of skilling India, Union Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has approved the signing of Memorandum of Cooperation between India and Japan on the technical intern training program about which I was talking, and based on this MOU only, we will be sending the participants selected to this country, and there will be vice versa also, people going from Japan also to our country, as the case would be. It is an important field of bilateral cooperation, and in 2018 we have signed this, and I think that the first batch will be rolling out with the Honda support for this particular MOU. This initiative is created and maintained by the Japanese government. The program accepts young to middle-aged people from individual developing countries as interns at industries in Japan for a certain period of time, with a view to transferring skills to developing countries by supporting their acquisition of professional skills. So this will lead to knowledge exchange, manpower supply, strengthening bond, and economic benefits also. And benefits to the youth, as you can see, is exposure to work in highly disciplined and technologically advanced country, international exposure with high stipend, and overall grooming and increase in employability skill. So this particular program will definitely help our country in a big way, and there will be a lot of people who will be taking advantage of this. Our approach, like it is, there will be an integrated Japanese course training with well-defined learning outcomes. Level 5, they have accepted that at this point of time, level 5 training will be given on the language, and then on etiquettes, culture, and the trainer will be well-versed with Japanese language, local language, and English language. LaborNet, they are our partners, and National Skill Development Council and Haryana government will collaborate together to conduct Japanese language certification course. There will be a support of Haryana government as a funding partner, and administrative functions will be National Skill Development Council, and execution part will be done by the organization called LaborNet. Training delivery means the course duration for Japanese culture etiquette training along with the language will be 6 months, and outcome expected is placement of the certified candidates for training in Japan, or they may come back to their own countries and states and start working there also. Now, the proposal is like we will focus on improving the mobility of ground level healthcare professionals for wider reach. We will try to collaborate, and we will try to work out for improving the ground reach for healthcare. We will empower them with skills and supplies to provide good and necessary health and social care. Create a multidisciplinary Indo-Japanese platform for knowledge exchange for health and social care. So we will go for lecture series. We will invite senior people to deliver lectures there in India, and support and promote innovative technology-led solution for ground level challenges, field innovation grants. So as I said, this lecture series on mobility solutions for healthy society, modeled on the lines of Kyo Grand Design by Japan and Honda ES Forum in India. So short-term 5 innovative concepts, each from KU, KBS, and Rapid Lab that are ready for field testing. We will try to support them for 6 months, and we will have a detailed discussion on economic part of it, what will be the cost, what will be the duration, what other supports that we can extend. Concept sharing and mentoring to be provided by PHFI and KBS, and HMSI to provide field practice area access and support. Results and outcomes to be presented at annual lecture series organized by HMSI, KBS, and PHFI, and result outcomes to be promoted to national and international stakeholders for continuity and sustainability. Quantum terms of support and application modalities to be discussed jointly and announced by March 2019. Long term, we will have 2 innovative concepts jointly proposed, research developed and promoted by PHFI and KBS at a 3-year project. HMSI to provide field practice area access and support, HMSI to liaise with HRI for technology support. Result outcomes to be presented at annual lecture series organized by HMSI, KBS, and PHFI. Result outcomes to be promoted to national and international stakeholders for continuity and sustainability, and quantum and terms of support and application modalities to be discussed and jointly announced by March 2019. These mobile USCs, based on the models that we have in India, we will create them. And in 3 years, 3 annual conference, over 32 innovative concepts, over 64 research papers at the rate of 2 per project, over 32 patents, goodwill and friendship among participants and organization, better health and social care to people in rural and remote areas in India, and possibly globally to be achieved. And result to be packaged in a easily understandable multimedia platforms and promoted to national and international stakeholders for continuity and sustainability. Thank you. One more point I would say that we will be having an initial budget of around 10 million rupees to support the research activities which are being done currently. And we will chalk out a plan. And as during the question answer session, I was saying we will try to fix certain model villages. We will try to create some models, and then based on that models, we will try to improvise and extend it to other areas. As we will be having a dashboard now, which we are getting created, so we will have authentic data of the village chief, his email, and his contact numbers, and also about the population of the villages and the services, the government services which are existing there, and in what condition those services are. So we will be working very closely with the government also on this project called Connect India, and it will become a dashboard which will be usable for all purposes, whether it is health purpose, whether it is other projects of the government, and it will be open to anybody who wants to make use of that database to connect with the rural India and support them in improving their situation. Thank you.
Any quick questions or comments? Okay. That is a proposal, and we will discuss this proposal tomorrow or in detail. And but that is one example. The Indian corporation would make a request to the Japanese university or Japanese counterpart. So maybe we have to familiarize ourselves to the request in detail sometime later. Okay. So thank you very much. We will have the altogether 4 speakers and wrap up discussion from now. Is that all right? Okay. Thank you very much. So we have some time to discuss many issues addressed today. So first is Dr. Sasahara's presentation of the framework of the SDGs. That is part 1. And part 2 is Professor Suresh Munaswamy regarding to his activity. To attend, he had a feasibility study of his activity here at the Grand Design Project. And after almost 10 years, his initial plan has increased in size and deepened the quality. And he is doing a lot of the activity at this moment. And in part 3, the second speaker is Mr. Pradhan. He is discussing what is Honda Motorcycle in India is doing as a corporate social responsibility. And the final speakers, Mr. Singh, made a proposal. What kind of the activity is requested and what kind of the activity can be done under the umbrella of Honda motorcycle in India and the counterpart in Japanese corporation, as well as the Japanese universities. So we will discuss from now. So, okay. Okay. Mr. Pradhan, could you come here?
Firstly, I would like to thank each one of you to understand and our CSR initiatives and patiently listen to us. We would like to take this platform and request upon Mr. Harbhajan Singh to please come up to the stage and give our small token to Professor Anegawa for creating such a beautiful
But before that, we need some kind of the wrap-up discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
At this moment, is all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So first,
He already called me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
What is this?
it's
This is
just
our-
best wishes from our side to KBS and
Okay.
Professor Anegawa.
This is the annual report.
And this
Annual
is the
report
annual-
or CSR report, we will share this annual CSR report. And this is for the token of the our joint program here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so discussion. Please raise your hand if you, okay, friend. And where is a mic? Okay. Okay. If that is a question, please pinpoint of who you wish to ask.
Okay. Thank you for presentation. I have a question to the chapter 2 lecturers. What do you think? What is the strongest point of Japan for India of SDGs or CSV area? And why do you think so?
Okay, anyone in part 2? What is some kind of the advantage or strengths of Japan regarding to the SDGs or CS? Okay.
See, like we being a part of a Japanese company over there, we find that one is the technological strength of the nation. Technology in Japan is a great strength, and that provides solutions which takes care of the needs of the third world countries and the developing countries also. Second is, I would say, the way of working or the humility with which the Japanese get absorbed in the culture of other countries wherever they go. It is something that which requires to be learned, and it helps because when you become global and you have to assimilate in several cultures, you need that sense of humility, and culturally you should be able to, take everybody along. So these two we find are the great strengths.
Okay. Question?
Thank you very much. I would like to ask our last presenter, who he is a board member on the India. So, do you know MAS? MAS project? MAS. MAS means mobility as a service. Mobility as a service. So, because this is from point of view, my personal interest, because I am a board of member of U.S. top-tier airline companies, holding companies, board of directors.
Okay.
So we are very interested in math. So probably next year we are planned to airline from U.S. to transit to Japan. To last destination is ASEAN main city, Singapore, Jakarta, Bangkok, etc.
Great.
So we have concourse of Japanese mega carrier. Japanese mega carrier means JAL and ANA. So probably mass will give us social innovation, social impact. So probably mass project will give India to improve your healthcare environment. How do you think?
Yeah, you are most welcome. I think like we had a conference, a mobility conference, which had a Prime Minister's presence also over there in Delhi, and I think that more it unfolds, and more you become associated with us. Like we would be okay to collaborate with you and take it to the next level in India also.
Thank you very much. I have questions, two questions. One question is about your program that it seems like other companies other than Honda may be moving toward the similar programs you might have. How do you differentiate yourself from other companies who are active in SDGs? So I think many people want to get involved because I think there's a benefit of doing SDGs. So how do you differentiate yourself? What's your strength compared to other companies who want to involve in SDGs in India?
See, first is that we have a vision, that we want to be a company which society wants to exist. That is our vision. And if you would have heard our President's son saying that people before profit, we will be focused on people. Means we will not be only focused on profit, and we will treat people more important than profit. So these two things have helped us gain that respect in Indian society. And means once you are accepted, then your products also get accepted and your business also gets accepted. So our foremost important strength is we first create acceptabilities of a brand, of our policies and our activities in the society in which we are operating. And that helps us to sail forward smoothly.
And thank you. And my second question is that the traffic in India, I know, is compared to Japan, it seems very busy. And when I went to India, the roads are very, depending on places where you travel, it differs. And so how do you actually make the infrastructure better? I know you are making the infrastructure better, but I think it's a challenging situation because you can't stop you can't close roads for a long time or bridges. So, but it's still important to save as many people as possible. So, how do you think of balancing your how should I say, people come first, but still there's business at the same time going on. So what's your view on balancing business and people?
See, we are concerned about the road conditions and traffic. If you see the demographics, like one is the country is so large, second the population is very high, third is the culture. The literacy levels in the country are still very low, and then every 10 kilometers there is a new language, the dialect is different, and uniformity across the board is not there. There is a fragmentation, there is a differentiation. So, I only want to say that if I look back, 20 years back, when I look at India, and now when I look at India, in 20 years, we have made tremendous progress. And maybe in next 20 years, we will make the progress which we would have not made in last 90 years or 70 years. So the pace of change is fast, but so is our adaptability also. And the new generation means now one thing has set in the nation. Even if the person is very poor, he wants to educate his children. So that thing has set in. So means and a lot of social organizations are pitching in to push the education graph up. Government also has development as an agenda now. Earlier, maybe 15 years back, in election manifestos, maybe development was not the agenda. But now, for every government, whether it is a state government or national government, their manifestos come with development as an agenda, and people question if they don't perform. So that is a change which will make the things okay, and finally, profits will automatically flow if you have people with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I found his presentation to a picture with two Indian girls, I think. That is Honda publicity, I think.
Which site it is?
In his presentation, two women with a truck, I think. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, we are working a lot on women empowerment. In our society, unfortunately, it is now only recently, say 30 years back, that women have started coming out of the homes and becoming actively associated to become become independent and become a livelihood earner.
Excuse me, my question is about Honda people in India. Does it exist a sales person or a commercial person in woman gender, or does it exist a woman marketer in India?
See, I'm not getting exactly what you are trying to tell me. But what we are doing is that in Honda, we are improving the gender diversity now. Even in lines, in factory lines, we have decided that in some of the lines it will be total pink lines, because there is a law also which says that in factories, women cannot work in C shifts. That is, during night hours, they are not allowed to work. You can employ them only during day hours. So we are now creating certain lines which operate only during day hours, and we are trying to put only females in those lines to create a better gender balance within the organization also.
Thank you.
I would like to ask Dr. Thresh one question. The business model you explained needs infrastructure of internet, I think. So does the internet infrastructure cover all districts in India? If no, what is the key? The increase of internet rate or internet pollution? What do you think?
Well, thank you for the question. So as I showed in the slide, India has around 600, 700 districts. And there is a government program which basically is rolling out a fiber optic network, not only to the districts, but to almost 600,000 villages. Is it now operational? No. But 2 years to maybe even 5 years down the line, the government actually has a program to bring internet to all the villages. So that's the first part of the answer. The second part of the answer is all our softwares are not built with the requirement of internet. They can also work offline. And these softwares actually have built-in intelligence to decide on the ground. They are not connected to the cloud, wherein once you enter data, the decision making happens in the cloud. It is not built that way. The software actually decides there, does the risk profiling there on the ground itself, and starts the intervention. You need internet to document the process. And most of these healthcare workers, at least once in a week or definitely once in 2 weeks, go to the primary health center, or from there go to the district health quarters. So if you provide them internet when they actually travel, the data could be actually kind of uploaded into the cloud, at least with a lag of maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And even if that happens, the service itself does not really suffer. The service can work with internet or without internet, and the service has built-in intelligence. And the third part of the answer is, yes, the government is hoping to provide internet to all the villages in the next 5 years. Thank you.
I'd like to ask you, my question is, who leads your CSR activity? India, Honda India or headquarters? Because in my image, CSR is implemented voluntarily more or less voluntarily by company. And if you feel the benefit from CSR, your CSR activity will be implemented in other countries, in other branches of Honda. So do you have such kind of example?
See, like in Indian context, it is not voluntary anymore. It used to be voluntary before the act came into existence, but now it is mandatory. Every organization has to spend 2% of their average net profit of the previous 3 years. So nobody, means if you don't want to do CSR, you have to simply give that money as a tax to the government, or you have to submit it into Prime Minister's relief fund, still you get the benefit. So though the provisions of the act says that if you do CSR with this money, you get a tax rebate also. So that angle is also there. And in Indian context, it is no more voluntary. You have to spend this much of amount. So because you have to spend, you have to spend. There's no option in it.
So in India, you have to implement the CSR activity. And so if it's not mandatory, don't you do CSR activity?
We do. We used to do earlier also. Means Honda continued with the CSR activity even before the act came. But that time the binding was not there that you have to spend this much amount. Sometimes it could have been more, sometimes it could have been less. It was totally depending upon the business situation in which you were prevailing.
So after the law implemented, your CSR activity expanded?
Yes, it has. It has.
In other companies?
Every company.
And if you feel the benefit from CSR activity, like brand image increase?
Of course, it increases. It increases.
Globally, your Honda increase the CSR activity.
See, branding is a byproduct. Like if you do good, the branding automatically gets a kick. We don't do it for the sake of branding, CSR. But we know that if we do good CSR, our branding is definitely going to improve.
Okay.
To add is like Honda has been doing this road safety initiatives since the beginning of the company. Has 2001 when the company was formed in India. So we have been doing the road safety activities. Road safety activity is itself as a corporate social responsibility.
Any other? Okay.
I have a question for Dr. Surya. So, thought the mission you're leading is a very, prestigious things you're doing, and however, if you are trying to make the lower level people be able to get the opportunity to get those kind of medicines and so on. But at the same time, I think India does not have a medical insurance systems as a country. How would you be, how are you going to solve the continuity of providing these kind of services? Because I think once the people get this service, they would like to keep on receiving the system.
See, one is that the government support is also there now. For, like some of the states, they have come up with insurance policies with which they cover the entire population of the state. Like state of Rajasthan is doing it, some other states are doing it. And I feel that it is only a matter of time that the central government also will look into it, and wherever it gets started, it will have the continuity and there will be budget diversions to such activities.
Well, India is a country of almost 30 states, and at least half of them have a health insurance scheme in the last 10 years. Not a lot of them have it, but the southern states, at least in the state where I am, there is a working health insurance scheme for the last 11 years. And it covers literally 90% or 95% of the people. And this is for the secondary and tertiary level. The primary healthcare has always been free. The problem here is that the service quality is not that great, which is what we are trying to improve. And now the central government, the union government, has launched an insurance scheme, which is again countrywide, and that has happened only in the last 4 months. And yes, it's called as Ayushman Bharat, and it has two components. One is to improve the primary healthcare service, to convert the primary health centers to health and wellness clinics. And the reason to do that is to bring in the preventive mechanism also. Previously, treatment was only given to people who are sick. The preventive aspects are not really focused much, but now to bring in the preventive component, they have renamed it as health and wellness clinics. The second part is the secondary and tertiary care. Now, this is a nationwide scheme where the government has basically said that any person could actually walk into any hospital, provided they are empaneled with the system, and they could actually get healthcare treatment for almost like 300 to 400 odd conditions. And this number of conditions is actually increasing every year. Now, unfortunately, the budgetary allocation is not that much, but this is only happened in the last maybe few months. So as things keep going, it will actually increase. But if you look at it in comparison with the southern states, when they were launched 11 years before and now, the budgetary allocation has almost gone up by 10 times. And most of the people are actually feeling the benefits of health insurance, and a lot of people are actually getting free treatment. And there is also a component for follow-up medical system also, wherein you could have follow-up service either if it is a surgery, or you could also have long-term medicine care as part of the package also.
India as a country is now very focused on health. The Prime Minister means now the Yoga Day has been recognized by United Nations, and the whole country. Treatment is one part, but there is a push right from the top man to practice healthy ways of living and practice yoga and all, so that they can keep themselves protected from several diseases and all. So the government at the top is focused to create a healthy India. If the disease or the curing is the another part of it, but even as a way of life. Like nobody used to bother about sanitation, cleaning hands and all. During ancient days, means our culture was that we will never have food without washing hands. And now it has become a movement, like all leading tertiary hospitals also, they are projecting, please wash your hands before you consume anything. So the focus towards health as an agenda has improved a lot in last 3-4 years.
Maybe can I add one more point? Now, healthcare and social care is an output of taxation. If the government has money, it's going to spend. And globally, India is supposed to be the only country that is going to be growing at more than 7% every year. And it is supposed to grow for the next 20, 30 years. So you are going to see a huge increase in taxation also, and a huge increase in the variety of services that the government is actually going to provide. So there's only one way to go forward, which is going to be more and more services.
Any others? Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question, one question. What do you think of weak point of Japan company of CSR? If you have some idea, please give me some idea for improvement point.
I think that now, there has to be a localization which these global companies are doing, like in various places wherever we operate. Even if you take Honda, we operate in more than 120 countries now. So, many a times if we try to superimpose what we practiced in Japan is not going to work out there. We will have to keep the local requirements and local needs and the local context in mind in order to deliver whatever is required by the environment. So if you will try to impose what has worked over here, it may not work at other places. So we will have to be more local specific in terms of everything, whether it is products, whether it is services, or whether it is the social connect.
Try to add up a few things, because as I've been coming here for the last 10, 11 years. The decision-making process, unfortunately, takes a very long time. But the advantage is once decisions are implemented, at least they go in full and then they catch up with the time. The second part is, unfortunately, Japanese companies does not have a public connect. And my professor in Tokyo Medical and Dental University was also the healthcare advisor to the Emperor of Japan. I think there's a new emperor now. And this is the statement of the Emperor, that Japanese companies are not doing enough to be seen by the people on the ground as people who are doing good. If you look at an American company or a European company, they have a huge public appeal. There's a huge public connect there. There are a lot of Japanese companies which are big market share, which do very good work, have fantastic products. But if you ask people on the ground, choose Apple or Sony, make a guess who is going to choose what. It's always going to be Apple. Because there is a public perception and a public kind of seeing that there are a lot of things that are happening on the other side, whereas Japanese companies don't seem to have that public connect. And this is becoming a challenge for Japanese businesses also, because businesses are turning more into services rather than products. It's not a manufacturing economy anymore, it's a service economy, wherein you need to connect with people. And that has to kind of start happening sooner than later, because most of the money is where you actually make when your product finally reaches the person. This B2B focus and then being in the middle is good for a short term, but we need to reach out to people directly, and that I find is a little bit lacking here. Maybe there's always scope to improve.
This is a specific question. You introduced about a female commercial pilot. One question is, there seems very beneficial to the applicant to become a pilot, especially female. So how do you select the candidate?
See, our process will be that the +2 high school pass out students who score more than 95% in their examination, they will be eligible to apply. Once they have applied, first there will be medical, because medical examination is very stringent for commercial pilots. If they pass the medical examination, they will be put to, eligible candidates will be put to psychometric tests, which are required for pilots. Once they clear the psychometric test, there will be a written examination, interview, and the final selection will take place.
Okay, and the second question is, in Japan, there is a kind of a similar program run by government. It's a program for doctor. In that case, student can get a free tuition fee to become doctor in university. But instead of that, after graduate, they need to work in local area as an obligation. Is there such kind of a requirement for this case?
No, Honda will bear the entire expenditure, right from the cost of flying hours to getting them the required academic support to clear the DGCA papers, academic part of it. Every cost will be borne by Honda, and that comes to roughly around 5 million rupees per candidate. But we will be bearing it, and the tenure will be, say, around 2 years for them to become the commercial pilots, because they will be requiring to fly something like 200 hours before they get the commercial pilot license. So every cost will be borne by us. Government will not be supporting in it. The only support which we expect from the government is to help them in getting absorbed in the industry, to find jobs. But there are a lot of private companies now. The private players are more dominant in Indian aviation scenario than the government. So I don't think that there is any dearth of jobs, because there is a lot of gap between the demand and supply so far as commercial pilots are concerned.
Yes, I understand. There will be a huge demand for pilot. So working as pilot is a kind of contribution to society. Thank you.
Thank you.
So regarding the question about in Honda company, so I know the SDGs activities are especially localized in India. But however, do you share information with other countries with Honda companies who are involved in SDGs, and how are all the meetings or information sharing done? And I understand there's a uniqueness to each country, culturally and regulation-wise. So in order for you to decide, would there be a global team who will be in part of your decision-making, or is it only in India for you will be, or you and other Indian colleagues would be making the decision?
See, like, so far as Indian context is concerned, the decision making is at Indian level. Like, there is a committee constituted by the board, CSR committee, which is in which all board means 5 board members are there, and one of them is the chairman. So in our case, I am the chairman of CSR board so far as Honda India activities are concerned. And chairman is empowered to make the decision in consultation with other board members. That is one. Second is the first question that you raised. How do we do the sharing with other GANPOs? On 7th and 8th of the coming month, see, we fall in the Asia-Oceania region. As was shown in our structure, there are 7 regions in which we operate, but India falls in Asia-Oceania region. So all the Asia-Oceania countries, they are having a meeting on 7th and 8th of March to share what they are doing in their respective countries, what is the impact, and to share the processes and knowledge with each other, and with linkages to SDG. So this is something which is a regular feature, and it happens at regional level.
And relating to that, I understand there's 7 topics, 7 goals that were picked out of the Sustainable Development Goals. And these 7 goals, would that be something that Honda will be focusing for, or will there be any changes, do you think, in the future? As you go by time, you see new problems. Will there be any changes, do you think, in the future?
First we will try to do justice to what we have already decided. So once we are through with it and we feel that we have brought it to a certain level, and there is some other area which we should now start focusing on, and depending upon the resources that are at our disposal, we may change or we may add or delay it in future.
And then these goals were chosen by the global level?
These were chosen by the board of directors who are there in, no, in India.
India, oh, yeah. Okay. So these goals are separate with each part of the year? These 7 goals, meaning these 7 were picked different with India or other companies?
Within the companies, we have one India Human Resource Committee in which the HR heads of all the companies come and participate. So we share. See, every company has different amount at their disposal. Somebody is making more profit, somebody is making less profit, somebody is not making any profit. But collectively, like whatever we decide, we share. But as I told that from the coming key, 96 key, we are coming up with a foundation. We are getting registered ourselves as a foundation, Honda CSR Foundation India, where all the Genpos of India will pool their money, and the entire activities will go on the name of Honda only as a brand, rather than as a individual company. Like currently, like when we do a CSR activity, we put it as a activity by Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India. Thereafter, it will be only brand Honda which will be doing the activities.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, just to tell you, we have incorporated a third-party agency called Ernst & Young. They are the big 4 companies. So whatever projects we do, the policies, what we do is being vetted through them. So once we shared that this is our vision, this is the Honda's global vision, striving to be the company that the society wants to exist, and then the 3 pillars. So all these things, when we discussed with Ernst & Young, they are the partners, they designed the goals which we would like to take, and in fact, they helped us in mentoring these goals. For example, the Companies Act, which we have to follow as the Indian national mission, those act we have to comply, and also the SDGs. So how we can collaborate between them. So then in the last table which you are finding, those are the particular projects and the goals which are common to SDGs and the national goals. So we fix accordingly, and then we take the approval from the board, as Harbhajan Singh said, and finally after the board approval, we go forward with the projects. That is the way. Yes.
And the impact assessment is also done by the third party. It is third party. Now we are getting PwC also as another partner, so that if EY approves, PwC will check the impact, and if PwC approves, EY will check the impact. So maker-checker balance we are going to create.
Hi, thank you for your speeches. Visiting India several times, I regard India as extremely diverse and extremely unequal society. And it must be that with economic development, this diversity and inequality must also be developing too. So my question is, while I'm a little bit, my question is vague, but I'm puzzled by, for example, Sasakawa-san's resumes, handout. SDGs is defined something like end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. It is written all. But when you talk about the projects of CSR, it seems to me that CS projects needs to be localized and focused, and not to the entire population, but to the people, with some intention that the company's image must be good. So my question is, do you have any roadmap about the, to diminish the gap between the idea of all people being prosperous and you need to be focused on some certain segment of people? Especially because if you visit New Delhi, I think you have very wealthy apartments on the one hand, but only a few kilometers away, the poorest of poor are living there. So is there any way that CSR can be directed, firstly, towards the poorest of poor, rather than the middle class?
That is what we are doing. Actually, inequality in society is there, and unfortunately, it is increasing also, to be very honest. What we are doing, like this pilot project also, we are picking the girls who belong to the lower strata of society. We are not going to private schools, or we are not going for the result of the private boards like CBSE and all. We are picking the children who are passing through the state school examination boards, which is mainly dominated by the lower strata of society. So once we pick from there and these children become a high earner, automatically the situation will change for their families and for their class. Most of the projects we try to focus on the people with the lower income group. But many a times when it comes to life-saving projects or road safety projects, that times we can't differentiate. We just do it keeping in view the societal needs. And that is how it goes. Even the medical projects that we have done, if you will see, most of the, even these tests which were done and the results have been put in the cloud, this has been done in the rural areas, villages. The hospitals which we support, we never support a private hospital or a private school. We always support the government schools which have less resources at their disposal. We always support the government hospitals which has very less support or less, even the budget is there but the money does not flows. The guy is there but does not reaches to work. So we are trying to focus on those areas where they are government setups but they lack lot of support. So that is how we work, and our focus is on the lower segment only.
I'll just add a few points. CSR basically supplements and complements the government, and it's not going to replace the government, because government can only reach the entire population, and in our country the population is pretty huge, almost 1.3 billion. Having said that, there's a lot of gaps even within the present system where government's activity itself is not uniform. In certain places it works, in certain places it does not work. So there are a lot of gaps that CSR as an activity can actually benefit a lot. And also, I do understand that the inequality is widening, but also the kind of, I wouldn't say prosperity, but people lives are getting better. 30 years before there was abject poverty, meaning there was no food to eat for a lot of people. That kind of situation does not exist. There are jobs, not to a point that it's going to take care of your nice life, but it will be able to help you to feed yourself. Jobs are there, and reasonable amount of lifestyle is kind of there. But you will have to kind of think on how to use the resources more in a smarter way. And that is where I think CSR should also start focusing on, because these basic gaps will eventually get filled. Maybe today there are, but 5 years, 10 years down the line, the government will start providing possibly food to eat and maybe some basic medical care. And CSR also has to slowly shift to more and more of innovative activities. And that is where CSR should closely start working with academia. And if you look at America, literally, if you walk into any of the top institutions, possibly like Harvard or maybe Cornell, a lot of these high-end research institutions are actually funded by private organizations. And that is also considered CSR. And these have a multiplier effect. If technology works, it can reach out to millions of people or even billion people. Nothing else. I mean, human being as one person or even 100 people cannot reach out to billion people. So CSR presently fills the gaps that need to be filled, but it also has to evolve into the innovation side and possibly work closely with academia and then take things in a much better fashion to the people. So there's a lot of work that we can all do.
Okay, thank you very much. So we conclude the discussion and today's forum. And today's forum is an initial stage of the corporate social responsibility and sustainable development goals. And we are thinking under the program of the Grand Design by Japan, also in the framework of the business schools, and what shall we do? So the final answer might be a clue for the Japanese corporations and Japanese academia to deepen our understanding and try to do something. So we have to learn first, then we jump on the real activities sometime later. And maybe the younger students and the younger people may have enough time to prepare for the future activities. Okay? So we need a discussion and we need advice of the local people and academia and many professionals all together. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. There's 4 speakers, including Dr. Sasahara, and 3 speakers from India. They have the very hectic and busy schedule. They arrived yesterday and they would leave on Tuesday, so maybe the short time. But a significant difference in the climate and the weather. But I appreciate my thanks to all speakers. Please give the hands to them again. As I mentioned, this forum and discussion is recorded, and sometime later it is broadcasted through the YouTube, and we need some kind of the agreement to sign up the document. And if there's no anyone who did not hand in the paper, so please leave your agreement here on the desk. Okay? Thank you very much.